Welcome to The Pointy End. I'm Keith Sutherland. Today my guest is well-known Bendigo personality, Mr. Paul DeAraugo. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks, Keith.
It's great to get you here at last and talk about a bit of stuff.
Well, it's exciting. I think what you guys do is incredible, and it just seems to be a good thing to get involved in.
Now we're going to do a bit of this is your life, but a bit of history on Paul DeAraugo. Now, obviously you were born and educated in Bendigo. Must have been a brilliant student in your early days because you've gone on to have a terrific career, which we'll come to. But how was your schooling days in the first part of Bendigo?
It was simply straight A's.
Straight A's.
Ducks
That's a very good answer.
No, they actually suggested I should probably go and get a job at 15 the second I turned 15. So I wasn't the best student, but
What, you didn't want to apply yourself, but you wanted to do other things, no doubt.
Mind always wandered, I think. I always sort of just couldn't concentrate. They sent me off to learn to read better once, and I went to a lady who was very, very good, and she spent the first 20 minutes I spent on a trampoline, and I couldn't work that out for a while. That was for concentration. They said I had trouble concentrating. If something was over there shining in the corner, I'd be chasing it.
So the hormones were stepping in at that early young age, something like that, we'll say.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, so basically you left school at a fairly young age. What was your first job? Because it sort of followed, there's a progression in people's lives. And so what was your first job?
First job was working with my brother-in-law, who's a stonemason. So I know that how to mix concrete, 4-to-1. I spent a lot of time in cemeteries. Then ended up at Abbott Supply, which is a young junior boy down in Littleton Terrace, and stayed there for quite a time until I moved on to Melbourne and fell into the car industry.
So how did you fall into the car industry? Because it's a passion for cars, it's a passion for that sort of industry, or it was just a succession of things that you were doing, trying to find your way on where you wanted to end up?
Well, in most stories, there's always a girl, isn't there? So I left Abbott Supply to chase Sue, and obviously the qualifications weren't that great, Form 2. I actually went back and did Form 3 by correspondence, but there wasn't a lot of opportunity there, so a job came up one day at Essendon Toyota. So I thought, well, maybe I should sell cars. Now, Mum had always said, please don't sell cars or insurance. So I had to ring her to tell her one day that I was a car salesman.
And what was the reaction to that?
Oh, she said, be an honest one. So, but no, that was it. Essendon was a start for me. Toyota, obviously a leading brand, and I got the girl. And we stayed in Melbourne for about probably 5 years, and when our eldest child was born, we about 6 months in, we moved back home.
So moving back to Bendigo, then you got into the car industry, and I believe you started out in High Street pretty much. Was that the case?
No. I started, actually come back, Dad had a little business that he'd taken over, and he was getting a little bit older, and it was a little butcher supplies business. So it was up in Mollison Street. So I took that over and had that for 2 years. A big company that we got our supplies off, we'd build it up, and they said, we're either going to buy you out or send you broke. Now, I didn't know much about butcher supplies, so it was time to go. And Jeff Hall offered me to manage Bendigo Toyota, so I did that, I think, from 88 to 93, and then I opened a little car yard in Kangaroo Flat in 93, and the rest is sort of history.
Well, that's sort of where I first got to know you, from the car yard at Kangaroo Flat. And I didn't realise it when you worked for Jeff Hall, because in the early days, of course, it was Hall Poiser on that corner. Both went separate ways for different products and that. And so you were very much involved in the Toyota product. So tell us about that, because you've taken some pretty gutsy moves in going into business. You started out in the car yard in Kangaroo Flat, then boldly taking over Toyota, and then you've expanded to bigger and better from there. But that was pretty gutsy.
I remember saying to Sue was we're about to have our third child, Eliza, and literally about when I come home and said, I'm leaving Bendigo Toyota, I'm going to open this little car yard. And that was a bit stressful because I had a fairly secure job. And I think my state was, in 5 years, we'll either be washing windows or looking through them. I'm not sure which one, but that was great. Central Victorian Car Sales was a great start. We started off very, very small, and I got some good support down the track from some good GE finance at the time, because I'd been in the new car industry, felt that one day I'd step back into that industry, so they wanted to give me some financial support, which gave me options to expand, buy better cars, sell finance and all the rest. So that really gave me my grounding and my opportunities for when Toyota came up, which apparently I said 9 years when I come back to Toyota, it was my leading last words was, I'll be back and I'll buy the place. I'd forgotten that, but it was great to be able to buy the brand that I love, or the number one brand I love, in my hometown.
And the brash young Paul DeAraugo back in those days has moved on from there. But really, I guess that a lot of people don't realise that how philanthropic you and Sue and your corporation is. What's your philosophy to be able to do that, want to do it? Because not all businesses give back to the community like you do. And
I think this is one of the greatest towns we can live in. Like within the environment, our new hospital, you know, I'm very involved with that, and I'm very supportive of that, and that's one of the greatest places. I visited it the other day.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing hospital. I think giving to me is part of, it's an old saying, giving's receiving. It seems to be, and you can't always give and give in the door. You've got to be careful. There's a line. We can only do so much.
Yep.
Always been happy to give myself. Never been a great one to want to sit on boards and committees. Prefer to get down and just make it happen. Otis was a thing we've been involved in for a long time with their golf day. But a lot of people come on board, and I know I might push my friendship sometimes, but we seem to get away with it, and people will come on board. But it's rewarding to do it. We're not necessarily doing it. Obviously, we have to do something within our community, and I'm maybe go overboard a bit, but what a great community we've got.
Paul, with all these things you get involved in, it takes its toll, and you had a bit of a health scare just recently, and if you want to talk about that part of it.
Yeah, I did have a health scare, and I think let's just reflect back on the hospital for a second. People are going to use, you know, sport's fantastic. I love, you know, where we can get involved in sport, like the Bendigo Spirit. But the hospital is one thing we're all going to use. At some stage,
Absolutely.
we're going to use it. And to have the state of the art sitting there and having the best doctors to be able, because time is critical in certain aspects. Like, I had a bit of scare the other day, and it's not a total surprise, I guess, but I had a bit of a heart attack. So I rolled in there about 1 o'clock in the morning and ended up in Melbourne. Now, when the new hospital's built, I won't end up in Melbourne. I'll end up having someone on, you know, in charge in Bendigo. But I was well looked after, and as I said, it's a part of life that, it grabbed me a bit by surprise, but it was certainly a wake-up call.
And that's my point I want to ask you about, because I don't want to be disrespectful, but it is a wake-up call. You are heeding that advice now to slow your lifestyle down, sort of not be as involved, or that can't happen because you're Paul DeAraugo.
Yeah,
everyone wants a piece of you.
Yeah, look, I'm trying to take. It takes time. You just can't stop. There's a few habits that I had that I've shifted away from.
I believe one of them, yes, is a good habit to get rid of.
It's apparently the one they should all get rid of. The doctor said to me, my days of smoking are over.
I think that's great.
I think that's a good thing.
Yep.
You know, we do have a couple other issues, but they're not knocking that at the stage. But we have got one of the best wine regions around us, and they do make a good Shiraz, which I can't help myself from having. But look, in general, I'm trying, it's obviously to start to look after ourselves a bit more. But your passion, you can't stop. And if your passion's this town, and certainly that's one of my big passions, is to see this town successful and getting involved wherever we can. So obviously we can't get involved in everything, but we do pick, you know, the major things that people are going to use in our community. Hospital, Otis, which is breast cancer, the biggest blokes lunch, which is prostrate. You know, to have our WNBL girls, you know, Bendigo Spirit for girls in Shepparton or Mildura to be able to get a chance to get to the elite level of opals that don't have to travel to Sydney or Melbourne, they can come to Bendigo. We try and pick our mark to where we can help, and I think there's some important things there.
Now, the other part of the DeAraugo family, you're an incredible family, and I say that quite openly, and you look how talented you all are musically. And Sue's about the only one that doesn't get involved in the singing part.
She can pick a good harmony.
Well, there you go. Well, she'd have to be in good harmony with you, of course. But you had Kate originally, all the amazing things that she's done. You've got AD, of course, on radio, and you've got Eliza. And does this all emanate from your dad, Vin, that had an incredible voice, and the whole family have inherited you play and sing, and as long as you don't sing country, but you sing those other songs. But you're an amazing family musically. How does that happen, just from one sort of line of the family?
I don't know beyond Dad. The DeAraugo family come out from Portugal in 1850 or 1850s. Francisco come out chasing gold. Come from the furthest place you could possibly come to Bendigo chasing gold. I'm the fourth generation, makes Dad the third, but Dad had an amazing voice and he had some amazing opportunities. He was the understudy for the Student Prince in Melbourne. I think it was a big point in his life. And he got his chance that night and was offered to travel the world and said, I've got 5 kids, what do I do? They said they can't come. He got up and said, thanks guys, and walked home. Or didn't walk home, drove home. But, you know, so his voice is unbelievable, like your Mario Lanzas, you know, the 3 tenors. He was certainly one of the greatest tenors you'll hear, but just picked his choice and picked his mark and said, I've got 5 children and come home. But we've had a lot of fun with music over the years. A lot of his...
And you still are, of course.
Oh, we do. We love it. Love playing. Yeah. Love doing festivals and stuff like that. It just seemed to grow from Dad. Poor old Mum. There's an old saying, Mrs. Euler said you could sing, Mum, but Mrs. Euler was stone deaf. But no, it was definitely Dad. Dad certainly brought that into the family. And the musical side, there's Josh, there's Chris, who's a great guitarist. It's just there.
Yeah, no, and it's an incredible family because you have 1 or 2, but the whole family just seem to be so talented. And it's great for Bendigo because it has certainly put Bendigo, Kate did, on the map in those days. And yeah, it's an amazing story, basically.
It's a great thing to have. The
musical part of the DeAraugo family.
We enjoy it.
Now, finally, Paul, what's the future hold for Paul? Is it going to be more of the same, more giving back to the community, the philanthropic side of the Paul DeAraugo and Sue, of course, and what is it? What drives you to keep giving back, doing all the things that you're currently doing? Because your business is huge and you've expanded that as well.
I think one of my biggest drives in business is to develop young people through. There's a word called pyramid selling, which is an illegal thing, but in business it's okay to talk about it. You know, we all start at the bottom and we work our way through. And to bring in our predecessors that are coming through and those young people. And I've got a lot of young people now that are in business with us, in different, obviously, brands and all that sort of stuff. That's one of my biggest enjoyments, is to watch young people develop. Because back in my time, I had to leave a little bit of my opportunity and take a big punt to get where I am today. And it's great to have a few other guys that are with me. And we work as a big team. So yeah, I'll try and slow down a bit. I'll try and get a bit more fishing in, a bit more travel. But even when I travel, I sell motor cars. I was born to sell motor cars, you know, or drive a truck or something. I'm very down to earth when it comes to just getting the job done. As I said, I'm not a committee or a board man deep down. I'm just like seeing the job done. And so does Sue.
Well, I know the problems because if I'm trying to have a coffee or a wine with you, it's impossible because you're always on the phone doing the next deal.
That's something we're trying to work through now, yeah, just to get it so it's a bit quieter. But yeah, no, I get excited. I guess I love a deal and I love getting excited on that sort of stuff. So I will certainly take a more healthier approach to life.
Please do. Paul, congratulations. Thank you so much for appearing on the Pointy End today. Really appreciate it. It's been an amazing career from, as you said, Form 2 suggested you go out and do something different, to a wonderful business career. But it's more than that. It's a career of giving, and what you and your family, the talent that you've got for music, but also the talent to give back. Not everyone does that. So I think all Bendigo are in awe of what you've been able to achieve, what you've done, and what you continue to give back. And I think and I'm very proud to call you my friend. So thank you for appearing today.
Thanks very much, Steve.